Welcome to the Knowledge Seeker channel. This channel is dedicated to exploring critical issues in the world. This presentation explores the national religion of the Ijaw people of the Niger Delta of Nigeria. The presentation is motivated by the fact that throughout sub-Saharan Africa, little or no attention is paid to the rich and spiritualistic indigenous religions of the African people, due to the influence of Christianity and Islam. Therefore, the emphasis here is to explore Orukarism, one of the most ancient African religions in the world. As you can see on the map includes linguistic groups in Nigeria. Looking at the bottom of the map, in the green area, that is where Ijaw land is located. As you can see, Ijaw land shares border with the Atlantic Ocean, and Ijaw land is at the center of the coastline. What that means is that if anybody wants to get into the interior of Nigeria through the sea, he or she is likely to pass through Ijaw land to get to the interior. This is the map of Ijaw land. Ijaw land is subdivided into three. You have Eastern Ijaw land, Central Ijaw land, and Western Ijaw land. Today, Central Ijaw land is known as Bayelsa State because it is one of the 36 states of the Nigerian Federation. What is Orukarism? Orukarism is the theological and theosophical beliefs, values, practices, and experiences of Orukari religion. It is a belief in one God who is responsible for creating the universe and all the creatures that dwell in it. God is worshipped through the ancestors and other subsidiary beings known as gods, goddesses, angels, and spirits. It is based on the view that humans must live according to divine law in order to be one with God and to experience God. Thus, Orukarism is derived from Orukari. Orukari literally means the worshipping of a deity. The reason is that Uru means a deity and Kari means to worship. When the two words are combined, it becomes Orukari. The religion is very sacred, hence Ijaw culture is very spiritual. It is similar to the ancient Egyptian religion, Hinduism minus the caste system, Shintoism in Japan, Judaism, and to some extent, Christianity. Some Ijaws strongly believe that Orukarism originated from ancient Egypt, around the Egyptian, Sudanese, and Ethiopian region of North Africa, particularly during the Nile Valley civilization of Kem-Ani or Kem-Onu and around the city of Ano. Under this view of the source of the religion, the ancient Uru Kumoni people, from which the Ijaw people claim to have descended from, brought along the religion with them to the Niger Delta. Those who believe in the ancient Egyptian source of the religion cite similarity of some Ijaw spiritual words with those of ancient Egypt, such as Osiris Ra, the ruler of afterlife, which in Ijaw means Oziara, Tem or Temra, which is creator god, in Ijaw becomes Temerau, Tamarau, Tamuno, Temeno. You have Sebra, god of the earth. In Ijaw it becomes Sibera, Ziba, Zibara. You have Ra, the sun god in Egypt. In Ijaw it becomes Surau, sun. You have Tem, which refers to creation. In Ijaw, Teme also refers to creation, soul, and shadow. Then you have Keme, which in ancient Egypt refers to black people. Keme in Ijaw refers to a person. Kemotu means people. In Orukarism, human beings are viewed as products of a divine creation because their soul or life force or energy, which is also referred to as the divine self, is thought to have originated directly from the Creator, Woyinge, Onyinge, Aziba, Zibara, Tamara, and so forth, who breathed life into the physical body to turn it into a living creature. Since the Creator gives life, she is referred to as Woyinge, our mother, by the Ijaws. The divine self is indestructible while the physical body may decay after death. To live in harmony with the Supreme Being that breathed life into humans, people are required to always identify with the divine essence in order to be successful in various aspects of life. This implies that for one to be successful, the individual has to be godly. Hence, Orukarism extols truth, justice, balance, order, harmony, humility, and morality. This is why the Ijaws always extol their members to live according to the spiritual rules of the religious culture. There is a belief that to be truthful is to be godly. This implies that he or she who cannot tell the truth cannot be godly. The Ijaws put so much emphasis on truthfulness because the word Izon, which is the name of the ethnic nationality, means truth. Sometimes Ijaw people ascertain the truth by compelling any individual with suspicious or unreliable or dubious character to tell the absolute truth by swearing in the name of his or her ancestors. It should be noted that throughout Africa, it is an abomination to swear falsely in the name of the ancestors. In Orukarism, the world is divided into two. One, the spiritual mystical world, and two, the physical world. The spiritual world represents the realm of God, angels, gods, goddesses, spirits, ancestors, and other beings. The physical world represents the world of the living, such as the earth, where humans, animals, and plants exist. Of the two, the spiritual world is assumed to be greater than the physical world. The physical world depends on the spiritual world. That is why sometimes in Africa, it is commonly expressed that the world you do not see with your eyes is greater than the world you see with your eyes. That means the spiritual world is much, much greater than the physical world. Orukarism espouses reincarnation. When a person dies, the individual transitioned from the physical world into the spiritual world. From the spiritual world, the individual is reincarnated back into the physical world through rebirth. The process of death and rebirth goes on in cycles. And that is why sometimes in Ijaw land, when a child is born, the family will conduct both physical and spiritual examination to find out whether the child is a reincarnated member of a family. Now, if the result shows that the child is a reincarnated member of the family that has passed away before, then a special name will be given to the child. In Orukarism, there is a spiritual social contract between the living and the ancestors. In other words, the living signs a contract with their ancestors. The living promise to keep and uphold the tenets of the ancestors, and in return, the ancestors promise to guide, protect, and bless the living, as far as the living do not violate the sacred rules laid down by God and the ancestors. Thus, the ancestors and deities serve as protective angels that can be prayed upon and invoked to intercede in human affairs. What that means is that if you are challenged in a certain way, you can pray to the ancestors to protect you and to guide you. Orukarism puts a strong emphasis on what is right. As a result, doing the right thing is very important. There is a belief in the golden rule, meaning that it is necessary to do unto others as one would want to be treated. There is also a strong emphasis on spiritual purity, which means what? Spiritual cleanliness. Anyone who has committed a sin, that is, engaged in an abominable act, must render confession and do spiritual cleansing in order for the sin to be forgiven. Divination is part of the process of practicing the Orukari religion. Divination is defined as the process of gaining insight into a question or a situation by conducting an oracular communication with the ancestor beings, gods, goddesses, spirits, angels, and other spiritual beings in the universe. Through divination, any secret can be deciphered. In other words, in Ijaw land, there are no secrets that cannot be discovered. Divination can be used to gain information about the past, the present, and the future of any person or situation or thing. Basically, the Ijaws are like the Indians in the sense that they believe in the Akashic record. The Akashic record is a cosmic library that contains information about the past, about the present, and about the future, which can be accessed by anybody who is spiritually gifted. Divination is the Ijaw equivalence of forensic science. It can be used to find the cause of death, to determine the paternity of a child, to determine the cause of an illness, to determine the outcome of a war. Here you have a ritual display of the process of divination. As you can see, those who carry the instrument of divination wear white in order to show spiritual purity. With this ritual, any information about the cause of death, about the paternity of a child can be discovered. It's a very sacred ritual in Orukarism. Due to the sacredness of the religion, when a person dies, divination is conducted to verify the nature of the individual before burial takes place in many parts of Ijaw land. Generally, divination is used to determine whether a deceased was a good or a bad person. Good or godly individuals are buried in cemeteries reserved for those with pure heart, while bad persons are buried in cemeteries reserved for bad or wicked persons. This ritual is like the ancient Egyptian Maat. In ancient Egypt, just as in Ijaw society, goodness or godliness and badness or devilishness were determined by adhering to the virtues of truth, justice, balance, order, harmony, morality, and the law. Hence, when a person dies, the deceased heart was symbolically measured against the weight of the feather. If the weight of the heart was lighter or equal to the weight of the feather, the person was considered a good person. And if the weight of the heart was greater than the weight of the feather, the deceased was considered a bad or an ungodly person. So you can see the Ijaws continue to perform a ritual that the ancient Egyptians also used to perform. In Orukarism, there is a belief that every individual signs a spiritual contract with God to determine his or her fate before he or she is born. In the contract, the individual spells out what he or she wants to do on earth. As soon as the contract has been signed with God, it cannot be easily changed. Therefore, it takes enormous spiritual effort to have one's fate changed or altered. It's also the concept of the two souls. This means that each individual possesses two souls, A, the eternal ego, and B, the life force. Both leave the body after death. The eternal soul may take the shape of a ghost or a shadow or a reflection. Sometimes the life force may leave the body temporarily. This happens when a person experiences a traumatic situation like a major accident. When the life force leaves the body and comes back and the person recovers, that is known as a near-death experience. On the other hand, if the life force leaves the body and it doesn't come back, then the person is pronounced dead. Let's look at the Pantheon in Orukarism. So in this religion, you have God, then you have the national major universalized deities, then you have the senior and lesser deities associated with the clans or subethnic groups, then you have the gods and goddesses that are associated with the towns and villages. They are followed by the gods and goddesses that are associated with the families. And finally, you end up with deities that are associated with individuals. So basically in Orukarism, you have a pyramid and the supreme god is at the top of the pyramid. And then the least important deities are at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, some people might say Orukarism has multiplicity of deities apart from the supreme god. Well, that is not necessarily unique because you have the same thing in the Bible. Take for instance, in Genesis 1:26, it is stated, and God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." Likewise, in Psalm 82, it is stated, "God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods." These two statements indicate a plurality of gods in the Bible, like in Orukarism. Most often, Christians do not notice this fact that other gods or deities are also mentioned in the Bible. Now, these are the names for the supreme god in Ijaw land. They include Wonyinge, which is our mother. Then you have Tamara, she who creates, Tamuno, she who creates, Ogenaire, Ayiba, Ayiba Ere, Aziba, Ziba, Izibe, Zibarao, Awaji. As you can see, you have different names because the ethnic group contains subgroups with some dialectical differences. That is why you have different names for the same god. In Ijaw land, God is regarded as a female deity. You remember Wonyinye, our mother, Tamoro, our creator. Hence, she is called our mother, she who creates, she who procreates, she who gives birth, she who gives and takes life. The Supreme God is the embodiment of the supreme invisible consciousness and the formless energy. Thus, God is a non-form, invisible, infinite, and eternal consciousness. Hence, God cannot be defined physically. The creative force of God that gives life to matter is symbolized by the double spiral. The double spiral is symbolized by the python. Now, coming to the national gods, it might be necessary to mention their names. Again, these are cosmic beings that are the closest to God and serve as ministers in the council of God or as specialized agents of God. These deities are equivalent to Saint Michael, Saint Gabriel, and other archangels in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Sometimes they are basically components of God. So depending on which direction you view the issue, they perform specialized functions to carry out God's mandate on earth. They are equivalent to the biblical watchers or guardians of the planet. They can only be invoked by those with pure heart. They are Adomo or Eseru or Assign. This God's spiritual presence in the human self. This is represented symbolically by the python or boa constrictor. You have Amakri or Kriogbo, the godly essence that is responsible for regulating the physical world, earthly laws, and living. You have Are or Seke, the godly manifestation that is responsible for differentiating things into various categories. Then you have Ayibara or Ayiba or Ogenaru, the component of God that is responsible for divine law and the order of the universe. Then Benikurukuru or Sukare. Here God manifests as the supreme spiritual power. There is Egbesu or Ogbosu or Akoru or Agadagbaoru. This deity or cosmic being is responsible for enforcing the divine laws and maintaining the natural order of things in the universe. It is responsible for fighting evil and injustice and protecting the righteous. Generally, or quite often, the Ijaws will invoke Egbesu to right a wrong or to fight a just war. This is manifested as a masculine entity and is the Ijaw equivalent of Saint Michael in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Kalasuo or Kalasuoru, the godly manifestation that is responsible for coordinating the universe. Then you have Uruamena, the godly manifestation that provides spiritual energy for all things to materialize. Then Tao or Tao 2, the deity that is associated with the godly manifestation of supreme knowledge or conscience. This is equivalent to the Egyptian Thoth, god of knowledge. You have Woyingi or Tamara or Tamarau, the supreme mother goddess and father god, the manifestation of the creative source of all things. Zibara or Beniara, the godly essence that creates the spiritual form of all things. The above listed deities are like the archangels in Judaism and Christianity. The Jews refer to these cosmic beings as gods and goddesses, while in Judaism and Christianity they are referred to as archangels. These deities are similar to the Egyptian, Chinese, Greek, Hindu, Mayan, and Scandinavian principle of the 9 gods. The principle is based on the view that a council of 9 gods serves as the guardian of the human race. That means the world is watched over by these 9 powerful deities, and they are responsible for different aspects of human life. Sometimes the 9 gods are referred to as the watchers in Judaism and Christianity. In the book of Enoch, the watchers are Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Raquel, Zerachiel, and Remiel. Every Ijaw clan or subethnic group has its pantheon of senior and lesser deities. Some of the major deities are Awome Kaso in Kalabari clan, Opudaba in Kulokma clan, Kaboziba in Kabawe clan, Amaso in Obone or Ibane clan, Obion in Ogbealan, Arugbo Egbesu in Arugbo clan, Yok Obolo in Andone land. Mind you, these are only a very few of the number because every sub-ethnic group in Ijaw land has multiples of deities, both senior and lesser ones. In Orukarism, to reach God or the Supreme Being, it is necessary to go through 7 spiritual dimensions or forms of existence. They are regarded as 7 spiritual kingdoms. Here they are mystically or mythically represented as the kingdom of the cock, kingdom of Yasi, kingdom of Ada, kingdom of tortoise, kingdom of the sea, kingdom of Egbe, kingdom of Isembi. These dimensions are like the 7-fold ministry of the Spirit in Revelations 1:2, 3:1, 4:5, and 5:6 in the Bible. In the book of Isaiah, the spirits refer to 1. Spirit of wisdom, 2. Spirit of understanding, 3. Spirit of knowledge, 4. Spirit of counsel, 5. Spirit of might, and 6. The spirit of the fear of God. These 7 Ijaw dimensions are also like the Islamic reference to 7 heavens. While God is far away in the cosmic realm, the gods and goddesses, spirits, and other beings live in various aspects of the universe, shall space. Some deities exist in the atmosphere. Some deities inhabit the forest. Some deities inhabit the waterways, that is the oceans, rivers, lakes, creeks, and streams. Many Ijaw deities and spirits are associated with the water. Many religious shrines are located by the water. Thus, the water and Ijaw people seem to have a close physical and spiritual relationship, so much so that they prefer to settle in riverine locations. Generally, the deities are worshipped in the shrines that are located in different places to suit their desires. Unlike the globalized religions, that is Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, which are dominated by male priests, Orukari has both male and female priests and priestesses. The priests and priestesses in Orukari are chosen by the deities to serve. In other words, an individual cannot say, I want to become a priest, and he or she is initiated as a priest. However, When a person has been chosen by the deities, the individual would begin to experience spiritual manifestations and develop a third eye that enables the individual to see beyond physical limitations. So again, there is a big difference between being a priest in Orukari and being a priest in Christianity or in Islam. Orukari religious priests and priestesses must live a sacred life and devote themselves to the spiritual deities. They develop miraculous ability to see beyond, engage in time travel, and communicate with other beings. They develop herbal and spiritual medical skills to cure diseases and conduct divination to find out the cause of events. Here you have Chief Government Ekpemupolo, a major socio-political and military activist in the Niger Delta. He is also a major traditional religious priest in Ijaw land. Now, to invoke the deities. God and the lesser deities can be contacted in various ways through religious services, through prayers, through libation and invocation, through divination. So any one of these ways can be used to contact the deities. During religious services, sometimes spiritual possession may take place. Those who are spiritually possessed can see into the future and tell about what is going to happen in the future. The deities can be invoked to accomplish various things, to render justice on an issue when a person feels cheated or exploited, to fight a war and stop military aggression, to cure sicknesses, to determine the truth, to predict the future, to protect from harm in whatever form. Orukarism demands absolute truthfulness. It demands spiritual cleanliness. Devotees cannot engage in abominable acts. If the sacred rules are violated, public confession must be rendered. Failure to confess after committing an abominable act can result in spiritual punishment, including having perpetual bad luck, insanity, and even death. Orukarism has a powerful impact on Ijaw culture and behavior. It is strongly believed that those who are devoted and spiritually clean can receive the blessings of God and the lesser deities. One of the godly gifts is the invisibility to bullets when shot at. In other words, there is a strong belief in Ijaw land that if one is initiated into Igbesu and other war deities, the person can be protected from harm in war or during war. The Ijaws, like the Jews, believe that they have a special pact with God. Hence, they are indestructible if they do not stray away from their religion. Thus, Ijaw nationalism is reinforced by Orukarism, just like Jewish nationalism is tied to Judaism. Conclusion: Orukarism, which is derived from Orukari, is profoundly spiritual with rich theological and theosophical tenets, values, and practices. It is an ancient religion that is similar to the ancient Egyptian religion, Judaism, Shintoism, Hinduism minus the caste system, and Christianity. The pantheon of Orukarism include the supreme God, the creator of the universe, lesser gods, goddesses, spirits, and ancestral beings. The Ijaw god is a female deity. Orukarism is the source of Ijaw nationalism. It is encompassing and greatly influences the Ijaw character, personality, and worldview. Thank you for listening to this presentation. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.